Hi, I'm Ren.
I'm Sam.
I'm Tosh.
And we're the T-Swift sisters.
Previously on the T-Swift Sisters podcast.
I feel like it's giving Clara Bow. I'll read the lyrics and then we can try to figure out what song it's from. Crowd goes wild at her fingertips. Half moonshine, full eclipse.
I'm going to say that sounds like it could be in Florida.
Okay, I think the smallest man who ever lived is going to be very sad.
I actually chose the same one. I chose Who's Afraid of Little Me. I feel like it could be like storytelling, but like in a pop kind of upbeat way.
I chose Down Bad. Was giving like maybe Don't Blame Me vibes, you know? Welcome back to the T-Swift Sisters podcast, a Taylor Swift fan podcast for Swifties by Swifties. In today's episode, we're breaking down songs 1 through 16 of the Tortured Poets department. It's the worst men that she writes best. Here's this week's Swift Scoop. I had to include that in there because Taylor talked about it in her little forward of the album in the actual like vinyl booklet / CD booklet.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, it's like how she closes out with it. She says it's the worst men that I write best. And I think it's so, and I didn't mean to say it on purpose. Like I said it in my head first and I was like, wait, but poetic. It truly is.
Yeah.
But happy official TTPD release. I'm so glad that we all stayed up together to listen to the first 15 songs of the album. And then at 2 a.m., we finally got the definition of the number 2, yeah, and it was the release of the double album. So this is going to be the Tortured Poets Department review part 1. Are we ready to get started? Basically, I want to start the episode with 2 reviews. Let's start with Rolling Stone. They said, it's the cathartic confession of a woman who thought she had adulthood and adult romance all figured out, only to find herself realizing she knows nothing. She sounds confused, bitter, raging, vulnerable, yet more gloriously chaotic than we've ever heard her before. Tortured Poets has the intimate sound of Folklore and Evermore, which if you guys listened to our episode last week, Tosh said Folklore and Midnight, Sammy said Evermore and Midnights. It did say that it was more, I read one review that was more Evermore. This one says, the songs go for that detailed folklore style of storycraft. Yet instead of fictional characters, she's pouring her heart out into her own deeply personal exorcisms. I thought this one was really interesting because I feel like the album gives so much of like the loss of, it's almost like, and this, I feel like this is going so deep, but like, you know, when we got out of COVID and you feel like you lost so much of your adulthood life that you're like, we were in such a weird transitioning age of our 20s that when we came out on the other side of COVID, we felt like we had lost so much youth from that time span. And I feel like this album has so much of that. Like she's out of this relationship, out of this time in her life. And like, she's trying to figure out like where did everything go, like trying to land back on her feet. And I love that. I mean, it's just a really great lens to look at the album from. And then the Sunday Times, so this is a newspaper in the UK, said, yes, there are songs that are surely about her relationship with Alwyn, but through her skill of songwriting, Swift moves beyond the diaristic. Is that how you say it? Diaristic? It's like a diary, basically. Bear with me.
Yeah, I think that's right. We're not tortured poets. We're trying our best.
To something impressionistic and yes, poetic and universal. Speculators gonna speculate, but insisting on a paternity test for every song here robs us of a simpler pleasure of just basking in the work of a writer at the very top of her game. Tortured, yes, by the sounds of it. For all the scars, though, the album's message is this: healing, wisdom, and art come at a price, which is just, again, like all of this healing that she's getting to and like this change of her life. She lost so much and is like trying to pick herself up back up again. And like you really get that in some of the truly chaotic and like insanity moments of this album. And then I want to go back to this part that says the universal. We talked about this last week on the pod as well. Whereas like if the album was going to be more storytelling of like a timeline essentially of what happened, or was it going to be universal? And I really do think that she did that, right? Like she has a lot of songs, and we were just talking about this, that like so many of them are Yes Joe, so many of them are Yes Maddie. There's two of them that are Travis Kelce, but then so much of the album, like there's 31 songs, right? So much more of it is just the universal pain that we all have in these moments of trying to find ourselves and getting out of a long relationship and just like the chaos. And I am like absolutely here for it.
I think too, when you brought up with the Rolling Stone review, how like it was like that feeling of post-COVID where we lost so much of our youth. That's literally a lyric in So Long London, like when she says like, I'm so pissed off you, I have it written, I'm so pissed off
like
you let me give you all that youth for free.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's giving the album vibe. Like I'm pissed that I lost so much, but I came back bigger and better on the other side, and I love it.
Yeah. And it's just like those moments that you have of insanity. Like I know I can say for myself, I don't know about you guys, but like post breakup, post relationship, where you're just like, you almost feel trapped in a room, like literally a panic room, kind of like in the Fortnite video where you're like trying to break free, but like your mind is so wild that all you can keep going back to are like things that you could have done, things that you loved about a person, things that you loved about a person that became the things that made them evil. Like so much of that comes through in this album. It's just insane. Like I feel like it's like a peek into her mind that we've never actually had before.
Yep.
Agreed. I was just thinking about what I took as the theme of the whole album, and I totally agree with all of that. I think what stood out to me was the reoccurring theme of like death and killing in a way. And of course, it's processing the end of a relationship or the end of, a moment in your life as loss and the grief that comes with it. And I like that you pointed out like the insanity or the craziness that comes after you experience that, because it is like such a helpless feeling. You lose everything. And it kind of reminds me of like, let's say when someone goes through their own loss, like they lose someone, right? Someone passes. You do everything to try to like take care of that person, almost like a baby. Like, let me cook for you. Let me, coddle you. Let me be there for you. So it's almost like you need help. Like you're so sick, you're so stuck that you need someone to take care of you. That's kind of like what I got from that, and like being institutionalized in that sense. Like you can't do anything for yourself. You're motionless, you're helpless, you're almost mute at that point. So I like the crazy vibe that this album gave. You're driven to the point of insanity from the loss of it all and the chaos. I loved that.
It was literally so chaotic. Like I felt like I was going insane, but in the best way possible, like reliving some of the worst moments of like things that I've experienced, but then knowing where I am now and being able to look back at it, which I feel like Taylor has done and has proved to us. Like she looks back at this now and she talks about how this story is no longer hers, it's ours now to experience it because she's moved on to such a different place. And that makes me actually think back to the episode, Sammy, the bonus episode you and I released, and we had this whole conversation about that, about how TTPD was actually going to be that album where she now releases this story and it becomes ours. When she literally said that, I was like, okay, sis. Like Sammy and I were like, okay, she's listening to the pod. So hi, Taylor.
That was crazy. Basically, like word for word, what we said about her closing that chapter, like that's it. Once this was released, that's done. We're not discussing that anymore. We're moving on.
Just wanted to say too, like a thought I had after listening to it was I think like Taylor's always done a really good job about like, expressing feelings and emotion in songs and albums. But I feel like this is the first album where she expresses every feeling that can come with loss, with grief, and like with a breakup. Whereas like, we have other albums that are mostly about being in love, mostly about loss. This is just like it encapsulates like every emotion that we could feel, from the crazy to the sad, like not knowing if you're gonna get out of bed, to the like working so hard on yourself to the point that you're still crying while trying to do it, to the booty calls, to the falling in love again. Like it has everything And like that is what I love about it. Like it
Yes.
really is every emotion that one could relate to in a situation like that in one album.
100%. And as you were saying that, I was like, I hope you bring up the aspect of like the clinging on to the next person that you find. And like when you're in this state of like despair and like you don't know whatever, and you find somebody that's going to give you the time of day, and you're like, okay, yes, like this is the one. Like it didn't work out with that one because this is the person. And then they don't end up being that person because they were never supposed to be. And that's just like, the fact that she even goes as far to talk about that like the roller coaster of emotions and the clinging, and it's insane to me. Like I think that's what makes this album so special and different from any other Taylor album.
It makes her very human.
Yes.
Well, talking about emotions, I had a thought about Fortnite when it came to emotion. Like
okay, we're starting with Fortnite.
We're starting with number 1, track 1, Fortnite.
Okay, so when I heard Fortnite, I think just listening to a song, and I literally listened, put it back to the beginning and listened again, because that song stood out to me the most, I think, out of all her songs, of how the emotion comes through her voice. Right from the beginning, I felt like you're so emotionally exhausted and just drained from, being depressed or, sad, just emotionally drained. And it sounded like that in her voice. It was very like longing, very drawn out, very low, almost like there was no life left. On top of the lyrics that she sang in that song, no words. I love Fortnite.
I like it a lot too. I had an entirely new love for it with the music video. I literally watched the music video 3 times in a row. Like I almost did what you did with listening to the song. Like I let the whole video play, rewinded it, and like started it over again, because the video gave you such like a different way to look at the song and like listen to it. I loved it so much.
I think it also gives Lana a lot.
That's my first note. I said, oh, she sounds like Lana at midnight.
Yeah.
That was my first thought.
Mine was immediate reaction, it's giving Lana. I also love what you said though, Sammy, about like how her voice sounds like that. Like there's nothing to give, but that's the first song on the album. Like, I feel like that's for a reason. And then it's a build up from there.
Okay, but Tosh, I saw in your stories that you said the Tortured Poets Department title track like injected into your veins. Tell us what's going on there.
I love this song. It is a top 3 for me.
Okay.
I can't get it out of my head.
It is very catchy.
I love how specific it is. And I know that that's like a thing that people are saying they don't like about it. I am so here for the super specific lyrics. When I picture the song, like the vibe and the music of it is giving me the R's music video. And I don't know why, like the whole job workplace vibe, like kind of upbeat. I'm obsessed with it. And I love the line of like the whole ring and the heart exploding. Like that's a top 3 for me.
When you say the specific lyrics, like that people don't like that, but you really do, what do you mean by that?
She's
just like I talked to you talked to Lucy, I talked to Jack, tattooed golden retriever, we ate 7 bars of chocolate. Like it's like so specific that it's almost like I was reading on Reddit, like people are saying like it's hard to relate to because it's just like, girl, like your lyrics are just not making sense, basically.
Like it's like almost just too niche kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like like just little things that are hard to relate to because it's just like such odd things that are not general. Yeah. But I love that about it.
Okay.
I just love the song so much.
I don't know.
It's not my number 1, but it's my number like 2 for sure.
Okay. I just wanted to bring it up because I was so surprised when I saw it in your stories today. I was like, okay, go off. Like, I want to know why. Not the next one, but like just a little skip ahead. Down Bad. When I first heard this song, I'll be honest, like I was like, okay, this is probably not going to be like my favorite one on the album. I was like, I really don't know how I feel about this. And I literally wrote, I was like, not my favorite at first listen, but I know it'll grow on me.
Mm.
4 days later, it's already grown on me. I am like constantly walking around singing like down bad crying at the gym kind of thing,
It's
you
so
know.
catchy. I can't stop.
So catchy. So catchy. I don't know what it was about it like the first time that I was like, that now I'm like, I love it. I love
Maybe
it.
the beat. I feel like either you love it or you hate it. I feel like that beat takes a second for some people.
Yeah, I
Especially
feel
how
that.
it starts off so like slow like that, and then it kind of builds up. That's my top. That's definitely a top 3.
Wait, did
Well,
we
we
skip
skipped My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys.
Yeah.
I think it gives reputation.
Why? Why do you say
Like it's giving like it's nice to. This is why we can't have nice things. It's giving.
Okay.
I don't know. Like it's giving. Look what you made me do. It's nice to have. I mean, this is
it's
why
nice
do I keep
to have
saying
a friend
nice?
as lover. It's
No,
not reputation.
I know that's not what I mean. I'm trying to say this is why we can't have nice things. It reminds me of that song. I don't know why, but it does. That's all I wanted to say about
I
it.
didn't know this song. So when I was doing research on the album, this song is actually from the perspective of the toy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she's saying she is the toy.
Yeah, like she's the toy that like, but like it's an actual toy kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I just never put that together from that perspective.
Like an object?
Yeah, like she's the object. She is like a brand new toy that he got, and then like she's trying to make up for it. Like, oh, it's okay. He only breaks like his favorite toys because he loves it. Like he loves a toy so much that he's constantly playing with it that it actually eventually breaks. But she's actually the toy.
Yeah, that's my only note. I wrote, OMG, she's a toy.
That's what the song is, right?
Yeah, and super catchy chorus. I like that one a lot.
It is a catchy chorus, yeah. Number 5, So Long London.
No words.
She talks about stopping CPR here when in You're Losing Me. She talks about like the death thing.
I literally wrote that. CPR ... you're losing me.
This lyric really hurt me. I died on the altar waiting for the proof.
The one that hurt me was, my spine split from carrying us up the hill, wet through my clothes, weary bones caught the chill. So descriptive. Also, the intro kind of sounded very like church choir-y, very like English, you know.
A lot of people were comparing it. So I've seen people like comparing the intro of this song to Death by a Thousand Cuts and also to Call It What You Want, which like if it is similar to Death by a Thousand Cuts, I don't know if you guys know the backstory of Death by a Thousand Cuts, but it was written
Movie?
Yeah, it was inspired by that movie that starred Jane. I don't know what. Gina Rodriguez. Someone great, right? Taylor watched that movie and she got inspired to write the song Death by a Thousand Cuts. But now like this album honestly truly is her living those Death by a Thousand Cuts, like living the truth of that song. And if it is similar to the beginning of So Long London, like that hurts. What do we have to say about But Daddy I Love Him? Because I love it. I love it.
Tosh, your favorite song in the album?
The chorus is very iconic. I think it's an iconic song. And I love the message.
Yeah, she came for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, hello. Yes, that's where the baby like swerve is. How did you guys react to that? Did you like pick it up at first or
the like I'm having his baby?
Yeah, and then she's like, no, I'm not, but you should see your faces. Because when she said I'm having his baby, my eyes literally like I was like and then she's like, no, I'm not. And I was like, oh, and then she's like, you should see your faces. And I was like, damn it.
I'm caught.
She writes these for you.
You weren't taken back by it, Sammy?
Not at all.
I don't know. It got me. I got.
I got.
What's the Glee character that we were laughing at again? I forgot her name.
Oh my God, yes. Will Schuster's first wife in Glee season 1 when she's supposed to be pregnant and she's not.
It's a total her moment.
Okay, Fresh Out the Slammer.
That's the booty call song.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like the intro to that song.
I like the beat change towards the end where she's like on the porch light part. It gets like really slow and I love that part. Yeah.
Okay, Florida.
Florida.
I literally was like, I can never not say Florida like that.
I love it. I love this song.
One of my top favorites ever. Period.
Like in Taylor Swift's entire discography.
It.
Okay. Slay Queen, tell us why. What kind of drug does it give you?
I
The Florida drug?
I love that Florence got an actual feature. I feel like their collab was so good. And I also feel like this is exactly what we expected out of a Florence collaboration. Like that loud, giving you the yelly, like in your face type of chorus. Like the drop about like Hurricane Florence, which was also the same summer as Rep Tour. Love.
Okay.
Cool. And I could totally see it as a surprise song on the piano. I love that song.
I was really surprised that she said Destin, Florida. Like, I feel like of all the places I've traveled in Florida, that is not one of them.
Have anyone been to Destin?
Have you ever been to Destin, Tosh?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you where it is on a map. So
Same.
Same. I think it's like a beach town, though.
But are we gonna go now? Maybe.
girls trip.
True.
I didn't like this song the first time I heard it. I actually really did hated it, and then now I really love it.
Thank you for being here, Tosh. What'd you think, Ren?
What did I say? I said second reference to cheating husband. I feel like she's mentioned the husband motif a lot, the marriage motif a lot. Like we see so much of that in this album.
I was trying to think of because it is a reoccurring theme, but sometimes I feel like it just goes so chaotic, like into the fantasy almost, like fictional, but maybe that's the insanity of it. You just lose your mind going so crazy that you make up scenarios and whatnot, which we'll probably get into later in another song. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but yeah. I caught the same thing. I wrote it down. Guess I was a cheat was her line.
It's also a good, perfect continuation to the end of Fortnite, where it's like, buy the car you want, or move to Florida, buy the car you want. And then like, this is the reason why the person moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. Like it like definitely connects, in my opinion.
This is the song, one of the songs that I want injected in my veins. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? The way I picture this song is, it's very niche, but if you know, you know. WandaVision, Wanda, when she's like flying over the little town that she created, like that's how I literally picture. Yes, like this is how I picture this song.
Oh god, that's so good.
Like I cannot listen to this song without picturing that exact moment, because literally like we should be afraid of little old Wanda and Taylor.
This is one that I literally like mid-song was like, no, I'm restarting it because it's so good and I want it from the beginning again.
So good. My first note on this one is I love this one. I wrote the lyric, the scandal was contained, the bullet was just grazed. That one hit me. I was like, okay, that hurts. That hurts. The circus life made me mean, talking about her fame. And then I saw today, somebody finally connected the dots of don't you worry, folks, they took out all her teeth, because the circus life took out all her teeth so that she couldn't fight back, bite back, talk back, and how the industry basically like shut her up and told her like, you can't say anything to defend yourself.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought of that line like connected to being like a psych patient, like institutionalized, like she couldn't hurt herself, hurt anyone else, like she's toothless, harmless.
Yeah, she can't do anything.
My first note when I heard it was she's unwell. But it's giving bad. Like this song made me feel Reputation. I really love it so much.
All right, Lommel. Okay, this honestly, I'm going to ask you guys right now, Lommel versus So Long London, which one do you think should be top track 5?
Lommel. I literally wrote Sadder Than So Long London, in my opinion.
My note is The Piano by.
I'm out. Bye.
Okay, but I also wrote, do you guys remember, I think it was like Singapore or I don't know, it was somewhere that Taylor was, it might have been Australia, after she announced TTPD, and she did like something on the piano and she was like, oh, that's weird. She was like being super sus about it and was like, my piano's doing this by itself. And everyone was like, is this like a reference to TTPD or something? I don't know. I'm like wondering if the piano chords in the beginning of this song was that piano thing at Eras. I have not verified, and I probably should have before sharing it on this podcast, but maybe somebody out there knows and wants to share with us so that I don't have to do the research.
I mean, that's a good connection if it is.
I know, right? That was like one of the first things I thought of. I was like, okay, Easter egg.
Very good.
Which lyrics do you guys have like pointed out for
Lom?
Lamal? Yeah.
I wrote something counterfeits dead because I feel like that really, I don't know, it says exactly what it needs to about what that relationship was and how it's perceived now. Like it was just fake.
Never Quite Married. That one is like, again, with the marriage theme and all of that stuff. Her whisper when she said, I'm the love of your, like you said, I'm the love of your life. And then how she ends it with the loss of my life.
Hmm.
I got to write that, but that killed me.
That's when
That's why it's Lamal, like, and not it fully spelled out because it's both.
it's
That's
love
crazy.
and loss of my life. Stop.
Yeah.
That was when I put You're the Loss of My Life is when I wrote arguably one of the saddest songs on the album. ... It definitely could have been a track 5.
Mhm.
She calls him Mr. Steal Your Girl when we know the circumstances in which they met.
Yeah.
Then make her cry.
This
Crazy.
one hurts, man. I honestly, Lamal should have been track 5 over So Long London. 100%.
I agree.
I don't know yet. Anytime.
To think if they should have been switched.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
We
Okay,
respect that.
Let's move on. Number 13. Yeah. This is my favorite song on the album. Maybe it changes, probably not. Obsessed. One of the first things that I noticed on this song was the 1 2 3 4 cue, which is what she hears in the earpiece at the Eras tour.
That's crazy.
That is so wild. Like I'm like listening to him like what is that? And then I was like I am constantly singing this song all day long. It is the song that I'm like, Alexa, play this for me because I need it in my veins. And another thing that I put was that it's literally giving Barbie. Like I feel like she watched the Barbie movie and then wrote this song.
Yeah, so true.
It's like so sad, but so catchy. It's like how Death by a Thousand Cuts is so sad if you look at the lyrics, but literally so catchy. Like it's the same. And then the lyric video that dropped that just like paralleled the lyrics to her doing Eras and being in that state of mind. It just like,
I was just going to bring up, I think the saddest part is that literally, and she even points out, like, she's having the time of her life. Like, the crowd is chanting more and I'm literally dying on the inside. And it's like remembering being in the crowd and like it literally being like the best day of our lives. And like, because I was literally at Tampa, like the week after they announced the breakup. You went 2 weeks later, Tosh. And it's like we were in the prime of our lives there, and Taylor was quite literally dying and having a miserable time. Like, honestly, it's a little bit painful.
yeah.
Like, for me and for her, thinking of the fact that she was, like, even doing it. But yeah, that's my favorite song on the album.
This is this completes my top 3.
Okay, so you had TTPD, Down Bad.
Down Bad.
And I Can Do It With a Broken Heart.
Also, the line, I'm so depressed I act like it's my birthday every day. Like that. I love that line so much. I shouldn't, but I love it.
For me, it's I cry a lot, but I am so productive. It's an art. Like that is literally my life.
That should be on my resume.
Okay, the smallest man who ever lived.
I like the line because it wasn't sexy once it wasn't forbidden.
That gives a really good insight, actually.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, she's telling it straight.
This one really stood out to me. Rusting my sparkling summer was the goal. Like she's asking him, like if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal, and I'm like,
I wrote that.
It was truly the summer of Taylor Swift. Like, why did you ruin it?
And like the whole part where she's like questioning his intentions, like who he is. Like, did you sleep with a gun underneath our bed? Were you writing a book? Were you a sleeper cell spy? Like, yeah.
This one, when she says, I would have died for your sins, instead I just died inside, is giving peace, folklore reference. I would die for you in secret.
So true.
And that just goes
Fetch.
to show the type of like lover that Taylor is, and like the way that she sticks herself full throttle in situations, you know? But love it. And we love a good reference to an old album, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, The Alchemy.
All the football references.
This is my top 3 is I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, which I'm so glad that I made my I Can Do It With a Broken Tarts because apropos.
Yeah.
What's the other one? I can't think of the name. Oh, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me and The Alchemy. Those are my top 3 right now. I love it.
Solid.
And
Yeah.
Taylor Nation like was basically confirming that it was about Trav and like teardrops.
Where's the trophy? He just comes running over to me.
Have you guys seen the TikTok edits of this song and the clips of Taylor and Travis?
No.
My entire For You page is this, like every 3 videos, and every time it comes on, I save, and I watch like 5 times. I am alive for a Tavis The Alchemy edit. I cannot. Those edits alone is what made me love this song so much.
I was really surprised at it because by the title, like that's not the vibe I was
Right.
thinking that it would be, like, at all.
I didn't think that we were going to get any peek of the Tavis relationship or the other side of like what we've lived through and what Taylor has lived through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't either.
At all. Like I literally wasn't even sure if this was about Travis Kelce or not. And then like when Taylor Nation confirmed it, I was like, oh, and then I started, you know, but it was also really late at this point. I was like also super delulu. I was like just getting through the album to listen to the first through. I couldn't.
Yeah, that's why I don't really have notes on this one because at some point I was just exhausted.
What do we think about Clara Bow? It's the Taylor Swift name drop for me.
Same.
Yeah.
Iconic.
I like it. It's a good ending to the album.
I have a little thing about E! News shared today what the song is about. Taylor Swift actually said this. Ultimately, the track is a message to women in the industry who forged a path for younger artists. That's how we teach women to see themselves as like, you could be the new replacement for this woman who's done something great before you, she added. I picked women who have done great things in the past and have been these archetypes of greatness in the entertainment industry. Clara Bow was the first it girl. Stevie Nicks is an icon and an incredible example for anyone who wants to write songs and make music. So it's iconic that she also thinks of herself that way. She's like, yeah, I'm on this list
she's
too.
the next one. Right. Like she's the next one. And I love it. And because she is. We knew that.
Literally. And I think, okay, I wanted to bring this up and see what you guys think of it. But if you look at the last songs of the album, I don't know how much it is of the whole thing, but since we kind of divided the album into chunks, I was like just specifically looking at my songs, and I kind of saw a little bit of a trend here, or like a timeline that I wanted to go over with you and see what you guys think. But we have, if we start with Lommel, right, we know that Taylor Swift talks about like, you said that I'm the love of your life, you're the loss of my life. So like this is the end of a relationship, the losing. And then it goes into, so like we'll say that that's the end. Then it goes into I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. She's no longer in this relationship, trying to get through. She's like the Eras Tour, all of this stuff. And then enters The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. Very briefly tells this story of what happened here. And the next song that we have is The Alchemy, getting to the other side of everything. And then it finishes off with Clara Bow, in which she's like talking about the industry and herself as an artist. No men involved. Fetch or stretch?
Fetch.
Okay. I thought I was being a little crazy, but like the math was a little bit mathing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's perfectly chronological.
Yeah, it's like definitely chronological, right?
Which we had discussed prior to, like what would the transitions be throughout the album? Would it be over time? Would it be events?
And I don't know how much of it is the first half of the album, but this was something that really stuck out at the end. But I'm going to say I think it's definitely like it makes sense chronologically. So I do, and it's maybe something that we were talking about last week when we said to a trained Swiftie, she's going to tell us what we like kind of want to know. And then to everybody else it's going to be completely universal, but like it's still universal for us, but also like here's just enough to like tell you what went down. We're moving on.
Yeah, fetch.
Fetch.
Okay. Thank you. My Easter eggs were on point this week.
Queen.
Me last week. I will never get an Easter egg. Okay, hello. We need to talk about one more thing, and it goes back to the beginning of this episode where I said Taylor Swift definitely listens to this podcast. And I knew it when I saw the little foreword that she released at midnight when the album dropped. And then I was convinced when the second song on the album literally said Decode.
I think that we
The
should have started
slamming of
the
the
episode
mug.
with that. That was my takeaway.
It literally sent me and ended me both at the same time, simultaneously.
I need her to keep it up. Give us another clue that you're listening.
My note for this one is literally in caps, Decode OMFG.
God, I can't believe that all started because I was explaining the Paramore song.
Yeah, I was just going to say a little background context for our listeners. It's like a very season 1 niche thing. You had to have been there. If you ever catch up and listen to our old episodes, then you'll kind of understand what it is. But it's like a pod joke at this point, and like the word decode literally now just shows up in our everyday, and it haunts Samantha forever. Which is why, like, I know Taylor listens to this pod because you can't tell me that she didn't satirically put that in there.
It's too neat.
And it doesn't even like go. Like there's better words she could have picked. So
Once again, hi Tay.
we'll decode you.
We love the album. We hope you love our review. I
Can
cannot.
Paramore please play Decode when they perform in the UK? Thank you.
Oh my god, that's right, because they're opening for Taylor.
Oh, you know they will.
I asked.
You just manifested it and Taylor listened, so it's gonna happen.
Okay, so I said my favorite. Tosh said her favorite. Sammy, you haven't shared your 3 favorite songs.
I was hesitant because one of my favorites is on part 2, but I'll give you like my tops for Tortured Poets. I'm gonna say Fortnite. This is really hard. I'm gonna say Florida. I'll say Fortnite, Florida, and My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys.
Okay. I was not expecting that.
But there's one in the second half that I like more, but we will get to that in next week's episode.
Next week's episode, we can do top 3 in general.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Tortured Poets Department, the Anthology, is 31 songs, so it covers all of them. We just won't be reviewing all of these 16 songs next week. We're going to go starting with the Black Dog.
Yeah.
Full send.
Full send. But I think that pretty much wraps up our TTPD review part 1.
Before we log off, please remember to follow our podcast on your listening platform by clicking the plus button next to our show and give us a rating. Follow us on social media for live TS news, updates, and so much more. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at TSwiftSistersPod or Twitter or X at TSwiftSisters. Thanks for savoring this week's Swift Scoop. We hope you've had your fill of all things Taylor Swift and TTPD, and we'll see you next week right here on the T Swift Sisters podcast. Bye.
Bye.